Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm Mark. Today we will be seasoning this carbon steel pan. I already recorded a part of this video, I'll be honest with you, Internet, and it was one of the greatest whoopsie doodles of all time. I used a crap ton of Barkeeper's Friend to try to remove the wax on this, and I was mostly successful. However, I left it on way too long and I formed discolorations on the pan, which I then had to scrub off because I was not sure whether they were rust or not, and there's still a little ring of the wax around the inside, around the inside, around the inside, and therefore, we're going to stick it in the oven on 300 degrees and see if that helps at all. I've seen this brand be complained about quite a bit because the wax is very sturdy. I also read that you're not really supposed to leave on Barkeeper's Friend for that long. And I also read that you're also not supposed to use a scrubby brush on these before you season them. But what's done is done. And it probably won't really matter. So let's get to putting this thing in the oven. I'm going to stick it in for 300 degrees for 45 minutes and see if I can melt the last of the wax. I'll be back in 45. And while I'm doing that, Jerkins will insert a high-speed edit of all of the shenanigans that I got up to while I was destroying this beautiful pan. Jerkins, roll that beautiful bean footage. One of the reviews that I read said that an alternate way to remove this coating is by using our good friend, Barkeeper's Friend. If you don't keep this stuff around, it's great. I keep it both to clean pans and really anything. You can clean anything with this crap. Anyway, we're going to rinse this with hot water. We're going to start removing the coating, and then we're going to use liberal amounts of this. The comment that I read said that it should take 3 or 4 treatments aside, and then it'll be where we want it. I did something like this on the Babish pans myself without even reading about it, and it turned out fine. In fact, I think the one that I accidentally put Barkeeper's Friend on, not realizing that it was going to totally strip it, turned out better than the one that I just did the normal way. So, we're just going to jump right in. Okay, so we're trying something new this time around. I'm just going to do direct voiceover. Notice right away that I am not using enough powder here at all. And I'm using way too much water, too much powder. And you're supposed to let it sit. I didn't realize that until later. So, now I'm letting it sit. I'm still not using quite enough. And I'm still not scrubbing deeply enough. If you're going to do this, my advice would be to let it sit for somewhere around 10 minutes and then see where you are. Notice that there is a crap ton on there now, and I'm trying to make up for it by leaving it to sit, and it's only marginally working. Finally, I gave up, and I let it sit for like 40 minutes like a psychopath, like a deranged serial killer. And then it really messed up because you're not supposed to let it sit because it's abrasive. So don't go longer than 10 minutes on sitting. Now, see, I'm scrubbing away and nothing's happening. And finally, I just give up, and then we end up with this as our result. And I can't tell if that's discoloration or rust. So I just gave up, and I took some Brillo pads to it, and I got rid of everything. And that was pretty much where I stopped. Isn't that great? Okay, we're ready to start actually seasoning. I know I've been kind of cavalier about this process because that's kind of how I am. And that's also kind of how this show goes, you know. We don't get to show the anxiety without embracing chaos. And I guess that's the, like I said, it's the premise of the show. We make the mistakes sometimes to show you that no matter how much you mess up, it can't possibly turn out that bad. Worst case scenario, like if I screwed this up really bad, we bust out a sander, we sand this whole thing down, and we start again. I already kind of nuked it and had to do that a little bit, so you can't mess it up that bad. Be brave, jump in. Now I'm going to take grapeseed oil, and I'm going to dab a little bit on this paper towel. It's probably too much already, but that's okay. We're going to paint thin layer. You're barely going to be able to see it. because that's how this works. Now, in addition to that, while I'm doing this, the reason that we do this is that this is how we form our non-stick coating on our various surfaces. And you can already tell just based on how much I'm picking up as I do this, that it already started carbonizing when I put it in the oven the other day. Because this surface was down to the metal. And again, doing the other side. Fix where my fingers touched. And rub the handle a little bit. Rub the joint. Now, the handle is where we're going to have a problem if we have a problem. Because I did not apply Barkeeper's Friend to the handle. And I am picking up a little bit of wax from the handle even now. So let me see if I can scrub that off. I took a Brillo pad to that right before we began filming in hopes of getting it off. Didn't work. My first thought is, how non-stick does this handle really need to be? I mean, it might be nice for the waterproofing aspect for when I clean it. My second thought is that as I heat this for several hours in a hot oven, maybe it'll take away the wax on the handle that I didn't get with the Barkeeper's Friend. I don't know. But we're going to find out together. And if I screw it up, we'll just nuke it and try again. Okay, they're both going in my 500-degree oven. And they're going to stay in there for an hour. Okay, I'll be back in an hour. 1 hour has passed, and we're just going to turn the oven off. And we're going to let it sit for another 2 hours. I looked at it. It's developing, right? You're going to have... Let me just show you. Right? Notice that it's developing. There are some spots that were missed. It looks like it's cleaning up nice. If you look at the other side, you can tell I missed a swath there and there. But that's why we're going to do it at least 2 more times for 1 hour intervals. Now we're going to let that sit in there for another 2 hours while the oven cools down. Also, I should really check and see what temperature these gloves are rated for. 500 degrees, these gloves do not like. Okay. See you in 2 hours. About an hour and a half later, and we've got the temperature back to 500 degrees. And we're going to go ahead and do a second coat. Note that this time it is a little easier to see where we've hit and where we haven't. Again, you're not looking to put a ton of oil on the surface. You're looking to coat everywhere. If it looks like you haven't coated everywhere, then you can apply more. But you're not looking to overcoat. Make sure you're getting the crevices. One good thing about filming the show is that I have these lights, which makes it a little easier to see where I've hit and where I haven't hit. Okay, we're going to let that sit for another hour, and then we are going to do it again. Once the hour has passed, you kill the heat. And if you want to check it out again, you can. Notice we're getting coloring. So we'll leave that in for another hour or 2, depending on how long it takes for the oven to cool. Okay, it's time for the last coat. Or at least the last coat I'm filming. Now, the packaging for this said that this whole process is actually optional, which I find interesting. The goal behind this, like I said before, probably, maybe, Jerkins, correct me if I didn't, is to create a non-stick coating. But you can totally just cook on it, and the cooking fat will eventually cause the pan to have some sort of non-stick coating. As the fat is released, it's going to create this lovely color. And don't worry about these discolorations. It's just different levels of fat working. I am a little bit concerned that I didn't quite remove enough of the wax coating on this, but the handle still looks fine. And it's very usable. When you finish, just pop it back in the oven for a final hour. Okay, and we're going to turn off the oven, let it sit for a final hour. And that's that. And after another hour or so, we're ready to pull it out of the oven. It's still a little warm, but that's okay. Here's the thing though, we're not done yet. The way the seasoning continues to grow is by cooking. So you want to cook on it, like now, like right away, and as much as possible. Maybe not as much as possible right away, but you know what I mean. I'm going to try to use this pan every day or two this week, try to break it in. I'm going to make some pork chops right now for dinner, using some butter, and I'm going to make some potatoes, and it's going to be good. Anyway, doing this sort of thing is new for this show, so I don't know how you feel about it. Let me know in the comments if you like these weird kind of watch me screw up technical things that are supposed to be done right videos. And you can go ahead and like, subscribe, click the little bell. I'll see you next Wednesday with some actual food. Bye.